Welcome to the Bellingham-Whatcom County League of Women Voters interviews of candidates for the Charter Review Commission. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We never support or oppose a party or a candidate. My name is Michelle Kopsha. My guest is Bill Geyer, who is running for the Charter Review Commission from District 1. We are asking all candidates for this commission the same 3 questions. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer each question, and the responses are timed. All candidate interviews can be viewed on the League website until after the election on November 5th, 2024. Candidate Geyer, Candidate Geyer, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks very much for agreeing to this interview and for seeking to serve in public office.
Well, thank you to the League. It's important what you do, and it's good to get information out to the voters so they're informed.
Thank you. My first question to you is, what should voters know about you that differentiates you from other Charter Review Commission candidates in your district?
Well, I think some of the very important things are that I have over 48 years of experience as a professional planner, and in that both the public sector and private sector. Longer-term residents of the area will recognize that I served from 1985 to 1991 as the Director of Planning and Economic Development for the City of Bellingham. And since 1991, I've been in private practice and have managed many different projects, both on the private side and as well as the public and even the nonprofit side. For example, I was fortunate through my presidency at the Bellingham Bay Rotary Club to lead the capital campaign for the $5 million food bank expansion that occurred a few years back, and also the $500,000 project that replaced the swimming docks at Blowdale Donovan that are now in place today. There's other projects that I've been involved with, but it's to point out that the experience that I have both in the development field, the construction field, and the public administration field as the planning director very much sets me apart from all other candidates, because they don't have the perspective that it is obtained in both the public sector and private sector. I've also been fortunate enough to be hired by many different legal firms to serve as an expert witness in cases in Skagit Island, King County, Whatcom County as well, and as an expert witness and relied upon by juries and judges to help make land use decisions, several cases that have been very much effective in performing that. So I'm hopeful that my broad experience, as well as my knowledge of the state constitution, the Whatcom County Charter itself, and how it can be used for the voters to make certain our county government is efficient.
Question number 2. Polls show Americans are frustrated with polarization in political dialogue. Tell us about an experience in which you worked effectively with someone with a different approach, different values, or goals that were different from your own.
Well, I'll be glad to. Again, when you're working in the land use field and in the construction field, you see as many as 3 to 5 different opinions, different facets of a project that can relate to the client, to the general neighborhood around it, the community, the decision makers at both the council level as well as staff level, or even organizations that are advocates for certain pieces of information to be brought forward, advocating from their own interest. One perspective was the city of Bellingham, approximately 3 years ago, did an update to its subdivision code that was 30 years old. And there was some very important pieces that had to be reconciled. For example, mandates from the state of Washington to update subdivision code. Secondly, how the city as an entity reached out and represented information to the general public that was interested in projects. And thirdly, and I think most importantly, what applicants were then obligated to bring to the decision making. In other words, you couldn't hide information in the background. I represented several people in that process, and in that process, there were amendments that were brought forward and adopted by the city council to have a very good subdivision code that resulted. One other instance was the Fairhaven Urban Village Plan. This goes back about 8-9 years ago, where I worked for over 200 businesses in the Fairhaven neighborhood, and also recommendations coming forth by the adjoining Fairhaven neighborhood residential area. Through a long, extensive process, we collaborated on a neighborhood plan. It was then challenged, went to the State Growth Management Hearings Board. Myself and a local attorney defended that plan, and it was approved as consistent, proper with the Growth Management Act. So it's to say information needs to be transparent, needs to be out there for people to see it, work to solutions.
And your final question. If elected, what issues would you focus on during the charter review process?
Three major issues that I'd like to focus on. First and foremost, the audit function. The state constitution allows for the voters to establish a charter home rule county, which we did in 1979. As the voters know, we have a county council and a county executive. We also have other executive functions that are elected officials. And one important function, I think, is the audit function that the voters have established here in Whatcom County. And I look at audits in two fashions. One is performance auditing. That is, if we are the taxpayers pay our tax revenues into the county government, what are we getting from those tax revenues, and is it efficient? So performance audits are important. Number two is financial audits, and that's essentially money in, money out, does it balance? I don't believe that we've pursued the performance audit function sufficiently. We need to do that. Second major issue is transparency. Many cities across the state of Washington and counties, I've seen that they have in their charters or in their codes that all expenditures of that government agency are generally transparently available at any point in time online. And we presently don't have that function in Whatcom County, in my opinion. City of Bellingham has a component in its city charter that mandates transparency of all expenditures, so Bellingham residents can see that. I want to pursue that issue for Whatcom County. And the third is accountability. Unfortunately, we have seen too many instances of late where there have been payouts from the liability fund to settle various issues of very important personnel issue that's been paid out of recently, almost $250,000, when we have limits of only a payout of $40,000. The accountability of what occurred there has not been given to the voters and to the people. So I think we need to implement some greater accountability measures.
Again, thank you for providing the public with some of your views and values. Viewers, please remember to vote on November 5th. If you're going to be mailing your ballot, it must be postmarked by that date, which means plan to get your ballot in the mail 5 to 7 days before that date. If you're going to be using the ballot drop box, your ballot needs to be in the box no later than 8 p.m. on November 5th. If you need more information, you can go to votewa.gov, that is votewa.gov. Thanks very much for listening, and don't forget to vote.
Thank you. Vote everyone. Thank you.